Hi, my name is John Stan, and I'm a practitioner of Chinese medicine and acupuncture for over 30 years. And I'm going to show you how to use the AS Super 4 digital stimulator, 4-channel stimulator. Now, one of the first questions we often get about the AS Super 4 digital is, can it be used for TENS? And I'm going to say right out that it is not a TENS device. It can't be converted into a TENS device. And my question to you would be, why would you want to use it as a TENS device? Because basically this is a needle stimulator, and with needle stimulation you're getting way more electrical stimulation of the muscle and of the tissues. TENS is very superficial, and it's kind of a device that is used more for home use, patient self-care. And a professional will want to use an AS Super 4 digital because you're now taking those electrical impulses and you're driving them directly into the tissues that you want to modify or modulate, or the nerve tissues you want to modulate. So we'll explore this device, and it's a very modern device made in Germany by Schwa-medico, and you will find that once you get to learn it, you'll love it, and it's a very practical and effective stimulation device. So in your box, you will find a number of items. You'll find the manual, which will be first in German and then in English. You'll find a set of batteries, AAA batteries. You have the main device. This device, what's great about this device is that it can be used by battery power, or you can apply the battery here. Or if you don't want to use the battery power, you can use a power converter that plugs directly into the unit as such. Now, just as a point, the batteries will not be charged by the device when it's plugged in. So it's an either-or situation. Either you're using the main power supply or you're using battery. And the moment you plug in the main power supply, it cuts off the batteries and it just drives the unit from the main power supply. And then also inside the unit you have four wires, each with 2 electrical clips, and we'll go over that in just a second. So you have the main unit, you have your four different outputs, your battery, your manual, and your power supply. Now this information here basically tells you how to adjust these clips. These clips are micro clips, and if you could zoom in on that. Now the micro clips are great because they're not heavy. They won't pull out the needle once it's in place. So you can see that the clip, when I open it like this, has a very small opening, and it's frustrating to try to get that onto a needle. What I've suggest is to just take a pair of pliers and just take it on the handle and open it like that. Or you could use your fingers to do that if you've got strong fingers. But if you just modify the angle at which the handle comes out, you'll find that the clip now opens up quite a bit more, and you'll be easy to slide that onto a needle. And the edges in here are serrated so that they really grip a needle once it's in place. So it's really got a nice strong grip. And like a lot of the stimulators come with alligator clips this size or something like this, and when they get on a needle they can be heavy and they can pull the needle out. So that's what's great about these micro clips. Once you've made this little adjustment with the handle there, you'll learn to love them because of that. Now, the leads are unique in that, according to Health Canada regulations, that all medical devices have to have leads that are unique to the device. Before, a lot of the older units used to have basically just banana plug leads that you, like earphone leads, but as a result, people were putting, strange things into the plugs. So they had to make these plugs unique to this device. So if you ever do need to replace a cord, you have to get an official replacement from the AS Super 4 Digital from us at your supplier. Now, we're gonna take a pause here, and we're gonna do the demo from the other side. All right, so now that we've opened up the package, I'm going to show you how to put the batteries in. Now, it comes pre-packaged with some batteries, but I will use rechargeable batteries, I mean. I have two sets of rechargeable batteries, one that I always have charged and one that I will have in the unit itself. And so you can see where these little base clips are here. The negative goes to that. Plug it on and just repeat till all the batteries are in. And as soon as the connection is made, all the power is on, the unit tells you that the batteries are working. Now, you will notice that every time you press an up or down or any kind of control button, a sound will be made. And that's kind of annoying, especially since when you have a lead in and you're increasing the intensity and you're asking the patient, do you feel that yet? It can be a little bit disconcerting. And so basically you can disable the beep by holding channel 1 and channel 3 down together. And when you do that, you see that the beep control comes on, and it indicates that it's on now. And the E button is the toggle switch that then can be used to toggle the beep control on or off. So I have it on, I have it off, and I'm going to keep it at that, and I'm going to turn the unit off. And now it will be in the silent mode, and so I can control the device without having the beep come on all the time. So let's just orient ourselves with the various features. We have the program button, and then the E here is a auxiliary or extra controls that cycle you through different sub-programs that are available through the program unit programs, and it allows you also to do a variety of options with these channels. But first, let's plug in the device. You can see there's a little groove there, and that groove has to match the groove that's on the unit. And you do similar with all the units. Now, what you'll find is that over time you have to be careful of these leads, because the weakest joints are here and here. And so when you're using it, if you overstimulate this section here, you may weaken the connection here, and it may not be a continuous connection. So you notice that they put this little additional extra rubber wrapping to kind of prevent any wear and tear on the solder joint between the wire and the alligator clip. So it's just it's good to be aware of that, this joint. Now what's great about this device is that if at any point there is a disconnection here or the lead is damaged, when you're increasing the output and you'll notice it go up and up and up, and then eventually at some point it'll go back to zero. And that's a self-protection mechanism, because the unit is always looking for a a closed circuit where the electricity connects between the leads. If for some reason one of the leads fall off, or there's a disconnection in here, the unit will stop stimulating that lead. And so, so if that ever does happen, you'll know that, oh, one of the leads is damaged. So now your instruction manual basically takes you through everything in much more detail than what I'm going to give you now. I'm going to just kind of overview some of the highlights. And as I mentioned, the first part of the manual is in German, and the second part is in English. Now, I would encourage you to read the manual, but I know there are a lot of people that don't like to take the time to do so. But you will see that you have your, as the manual describes, you have your main display. You have the P, which is the selection of the program group, and then you have the E, which is the sub-program. And all the programs are listed in the back of the book under description of the programs. So this is on page 35, and you'll see that there's a program group 1, and in that program group 1, there's 4 different options, and this will give you this is the key information that you need to know, because program 1.0 gives you 2 hertz, which is 2 impulses for a period of 210 picoseconds. Now, I don't know if I can do this, but I'll try to do this. If we have 0 and 1 second and 2 seconds, and this is intensity, how much power is going into the item, and this is the time. The unit will, if we have it at 2 hertz, that means there's going to be an impulse that's going to come in, and then another impulse 2 times within that 1 second, from here to here. But this pulse width is something that we can modulate, we can change. Some of the programs have it fixed, and other programs you can actually change that so that that pulse can be on for a longer period of time. So the number of picoseconds between here and here, this could be like 160 picoseconds, and this could be like 40 picoseconds. So pulse width and pulse intensity, how many milliamps you're putting into the skin. So if I had the time intensity, if I had the device set for 100 hertz, what does that mean? That means the pulses are going to be 100 in here within that 1 second. I can't draw 100 pulses in here, but if I were to zoom in into, say, that section there, those pulses still have a width, like they still have an actual on time, and they can still be modified a certain amount, right? So you can still play with the pulse duration, the number of picoseconds that pulse comes on. So you'll see that channel 1 is low frequency. It's 2 hertz. It's on for 210 picoseconds, and it'll go for 30 minutes. Now, if you notice here, it'll also say this is a free parameter, which means that you could override this setting to your own particular configuration. You could take channel 1.0 and you could change it to, instead of 2 hertz, you could change it to 5 hertz. And you could change this number anywhere from 50 picoseconds to 300 picoseconds. So you can change the duration of that pulse signal being on within that 1 second timeline. And you can also change how long the unit is on for. The unit comes standard at 30 minutes. So when you turn the unit on, which is the power button here, you'll see that the timer is set for 30 minutes. And as soon as you press the intensity buttons, it starts to count down in terms of its seconds. So I don't bother reprogramming this because I know that it always starts at 30 and then I just turn it on, and then when I want to come back and look, I can see, oh, it's at 25 minutes now, so that I know we've had 5 minutes of stimulation. And I generally do between 5 and 10 stimulation for musculoskeletal stimulation. For chronic pain and other types of terms, I would let it go for 30 minutes. So now I'm going to turn it on again, and I'm going to show you, we'll start at program 1, and you see that each channel corresponds to the channel above. So this channel 2 is corresponding to the black lead over there, and then you have your 2 clips, each with a red and black, meaning positive and negative. Now, generally, the power will come out of here. So this is the side that you will feel more electricity. Not all people will feel on the needles exactly the same impulse. It'll be more on the black one. So if you're wanting to target a specific needle in particular, make sure that you're putting that particular needle with the black output. And so as you press the intensity buttons, it's going up by 0.1 milliamps. So back to where I was saying is that we have 4 channels. Each of the leads above that channel are controlled by these up and down buttons. So then the channel 4 is the blue, channel 3 is the red, channel 2 is the black, and channel 1 is the yellow. And as I press the up button, you can see that it's gone by 0.1 milliamps. And it'll go incrementally by 0.1 milliamps every time I press. And this is what's nice about this unit is that you can actually write down the exact intensities that you have used to stimulate the needles on the patient, whereas the other units are volume controlled, where it's an analog device where you're either adjusting the dial this way or another dial this way. And you can't be precise that way, but this one because it's a digital unit, it'll give you the actual precise milliamps that you're stimulating. And I don't know if you can see with the camera, but it says milliamps right there. Now, program 1, you have to imagine there's a little dot there. 1.0 corresponds to this 1.0 low frequency, 2 hertz. 210 picoseconds for 30 minutes. Now, low hertz, program 1.0, 2 hertz is a great frequency for stimulating nerves for chronic pain. They stimulate 2 different types of endorphins, and I think it's the A delta fibers that are stimulated with the low frequency, and it's just a nice gentle protocol to use. If I use the E button, now that changes it to, now see I tried to press the E but it wouldn't do anything because it's actually in a stimulation mode, and it basically paused the unit. So I'm going to start it all over again. So now I'm at 1.0, and now I press the E button, and now I've changed it to 1.1. And so that frequency, that's now changing the frequency output to a high frequency, 100 hertz at 120 picoseconds for 30 minutes. And again, this is all programmable if you want. But so 1.1 is high frequency. You change it again. It's at 1.2. And I have that here, gentle low frequency. So very easily you can cycle through the programs. There's 4 programs, so once you get to 1.3, it cycles back up to 1.1. And if you look at what the manual says, you have 1.0 is low frequency, 1.1 was high frequency, 1.2 is gentle low frequency. What does that mean? It means that it's at 2 hertz, but the pulse width, the width is less than the low frequency 2 hertz that's up here, which is 210 picoseconds. So that means the pulse is on for a longer period of time. In this case, it's a little bit less. It's for 150 picoseconds. So it's just a little more gentle in terms of the electrostim going in. And then program 1.3 is gentle high frequency. So now instead of 100 hertz, it's up to 80. And instead of being on for 120 picoseconds, it's only on, each impulse is only on for 70 picoseconds. Main program, subprogram. So if I change it to program 2, now I have a whole new group of programs that I could use. And again, I'm cycling through them using the E button. So this has only 3 programs. You can see it went from 2.0 to 2.1 and 2.2. That's your 3 programs. And then next time I press, it cycles back to 2.0. And again, just use the manual and it'll tell you that this program 2 is what they call Hahn stimulation. Hahn stimulation. And Hahn stimulation is basically a protocol that was researched through a very well done study that showed that when you alternate like a low frequency and then a high frequency, you're actually stimulating 2 different types of endorphins. I forgot to mention that the high frequency in program 1.1, 100 hertz, stimulates C fibers, and that is more for acute pain. Nociception pain that you would get from an injury. And so now when you have the low frequency and high frequency alternating, you're getting 2 types of endorphins that are released by the central nervous system. And it's actually a more optimal pain control stimulation. So a lot of people actually just use program 2 or program 3 for managing pain or mitigating pain. If you're specifically trying to do some musculoskeletal neuromodulation or pain management for chronic or acute pain, you probably would stick with program 1.1 or 0 and 1.1. But in program 2, you have basically 2 hertz at 210 picoseconds for 3 seconds, and then it jumps up to 100 hertz for 120 picoseconds for 3 seconds. And that just alternates back and forth, 2 hertz, 100 hertz every 3 seconds. And now you're sending signals to the central nervous system that will stimulate a bigger range of endorphin releases. Now, there's the difference between 2 and 3. They're basically the same, Hahn 1, 2, and 3, Hahn 1, 2, and 3, but the difference is in program 3, you can actually program how long you want the picoseconds. You can modulate this intensity and what frequencies you're changing from. So again, this device is great for standard use, but it's also great for people that like to tinker and work with research and so on. They can kind of do their own adjusting of the frequencies schedules. Now, I've turned it on. I've chosen my program, but you see that there's like 30 here and 30 here. What does that mean? That means that I can actually divide this device into two devices. I can take these two channels and these two channels and run them on two different frequencies, two different programs, which is kind of like having two devices in one. So that would mean I could put 4 needles in one part of the body operating on one program and 4 needles on another part of the body operating on a different part of the program. And that can also just help with, they could be on the same program but on different time schedules, so that the body isn't accommodated to everything kind of like pulsing at the same time. You could have this group starting on one time and then this group starting, so it's like, you know, kind of doing something like that also. So that's very handy. And so how do you split them? You just basically hold down the program button for 4 seconds, and then you see the 2 options appearing here. Now this up and down button on the first of the 2 channels will change the program. Oops, I took too long to modify it. So I'm going to hold this program button down. Wait a sec. Actually, there's a better way. So I turn it on and I choose my first program, say program 7. No, I'll go to program 1.0. And that's going to be my first program. Now I'm going to hold it down for 4 seconds. And then this side will come up. Now it's going to ask me what I want on that side. So see, channel 3 is cycling through the program groups. And to modify the subprograms, I use channel 4. So it's kind of like the P and E. The P and E is over here. So I'm going to take it to program 1.1. So this is operating on low frequency. This one's operating on high frequency. These 2 are on high frequency. These 2 are on low frequency. And now that's what it's going to operate at. Now they've stopped flashing, so they're set at these 2 different programs. I press here, and these 2 are operating on low frequency. And when I start pressing here, this one's pulse. These 2 are operating at 100 hertz per second. These are operating on 2 hertz per second. So you see you have a lot of flexibility. I could have sprained my ankle, and I've got an acute sprain in my ankle, and then I've got a chronic sore shoulder. So I could put these 2 down on some needles on my ankle and operate them at 100 hertz to deal with the acute pain. And then I could be treating my up the shoulder with chronic pain at 2 hertz at a different program. So very unique that way and very effective. Now, so programming the device to actually change the parameters is all indicated in the manual. So you just technically need to read it. It's pretty easy to understand. It's well laid out. You can tells you how to set the intensity, turning it on and off, pausing the stimulation. You can actually enable a key lock, so you can lock the keys. You can change the parameters and the programs that allow you to do so, and you'll find that it's a very effective device. One of the little tricks that I found is that because these clips are small, let me get the one that I modified here. I think I modified this one. Yeah, you can see the 2, the angle here and the angle there. I just lifted up a bit so that one opens double of what this one opens up. Now, sometimes practitioners will want to maximize their ability to stimulate needles, and so if you're doing, say, points along the spine or points along a muscle track, you can effectively double your output by just going to an electronics store and buying an alligator clip. And you can then use the bigger alligator clip to combine the two needles, like so. And then you can then place the clip onto that. So now I'm stimulating two needles with the one lead, and then I could do something similar on the other group. And now I've got 4 needles stimulated with just two leads. So that's a neat little trick you can do and maximize your output of your channels. You have your battery indicator in the middle here. That'll has 3 bars, and as the battery goes down, it'll go down. Then you can just switch your batteries after that. Every time you turn it on and off, it'll reset to program 1. So you just have to remember to change it to the cycle that you like. The instructions give you all the other meanings for all the different programs. I've just highlighted them for the main popular ones, but there are more sophisticated channel programs for modulating the frequency, burst programs for again chronic pain. They also conveniently programmed in the Nogier frequencies, which A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and U. These are great for stimulating certain types of tissues, and you just have to Google them and look them up. For those of you that don't know who Paul Nogier is, he's a famous French physician who developed auricular therapy as it is known today and practiced in Europe. And then there's some research frequencies that are listed here also. So a lot of options, a lot of choices, and I'm sure that you'll learn to love this little workhorse in your clinic.